a second. I mean, you think we're good?
Yeah.
I think we're good? Yeah.
I think so.
Hey, welcome to the Outlaw Radio Show. My name is Zach Adams. Before I say anything else, we have a series of severe thunderstorms that are making their way into our area. In fact, we went live just a couple minutes ago to do our normal countdown intro thing, and then boom, everything went down and then came right back up. And so we've been very quick to try to reboot everything, get going live, but just right from the beginning, I want you to know, again, there's serious storms coming through. There's potential of tornadoes. The deep south, Atlanta, our area, we're literally over the next hour or two going to get it. So if we go down, nothing we can do about that. What's nice is in studio, everything is recorded. We'll put it all together. We'll come back live when we can. If not, if there's a series of storms and there's problems, then we'll just record in the studio to the best of our ability, and we'll release this later tonight or first thing tomorrow. So just again, when you're doing a live stream show, you're depending on the internet, and you need power for the internet and the electronics to work. This is just kind of the situation that we're in. And so if you're local, you understand that. This is what's going on. If you're not, if you're listening to the podcast, this is kind of where we're at with the episode. So if it's a little choppy, our apologies, but this is just the trial that we're in. We're working our way through it. And Lord willing, over the next hour, things will be good and we'll have no interruptions. Again, my name is Zach Adams. As I mentioned, I pastor a church located just outside of Athens, Georgia. The name of the church is Calvary 316. If you're local, come hang out with us one Sunday morning. Our service is at 10:30. You can get directions, learn about the church, find out all the relevant information by going to our website, which is calvary316.com. If you're not local but looking for a good Bible teaching church to connect with, and when I say Bible teaching church, we're not a church that teaches from the Bible. We're a church that teaches the Bible. So the difference is we're not picking and choosing which passage or what topic or what not. Like, we're going through books of the Bible, verse by verse, chapter by chapter. That's kind of what we do. So if you're looking for that type of thing and that's not in your area, connect with us online. Find a church, plug into that. But your Bible teaching can be related to us. Again, we do live stream. Calvary316.live is the quick link to our YouTube channel. Service is at 10:30 Sunday mornings. But everything gets archived. So even if you're going to church Sunday morning, and you need to plug in, but you're looking for a place that you can be taught God's word, verse by verse, chapter by chapter, come hang out with us. Check us out. We also stream. It's always archived. Facebook.com/Calvary316. Easy place to find us. You can also go to my X account, Zach Adams, @ZachAdams, and we stream there. Things get archived there as well. So a lot of different platforms that you can stay connected. Our current series is Harmony of the Histories. We're teaching. We've gone 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel. We are in the midst of 1 Kings. We'll go to 2 Kings. We're harmonizing 1 and 2 Chronicles within that. We're looking at the histories of Israel. You can find all of that media content, that teaching content, all the video, audio. You can find that easy place. Would be calvary316.tv/histories. That's the quick link. Go to our church website. You'll see links to it. It's very easy to find. In addition to all of our sermon archive, it's all posted there. You can also go to our podcast. We podcast every Bible study, the audio. If you go to whatever podcasting platform you utilize, if you search Calvary 316 or you search Zach Adams, you should be able to find us, no problems. Again, you can go to the website, you can find quick links. If you struggle to find any of that information and you're like, I'd love to check this out, you can contact us directly. Our show email address, the Outlaw Radio email address is popecreighton@gmail.com. popecreighton@gmail.com. So you can drop us an email and we'll send you the information that you need, the links that you need. I'm joined in studio by always. We're going to reverse this because he's already been mentioned. We're going to go far right to left. We're going to go with Pope Creighton. Pope Creighton, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, y'all out there. It is an interesting day so far.
Yeah, I covered everything as far as the quick links and all of that and the email address.
Yes. And again, if we go down, sorry about that. We will get up whatever we can by tomorrow morning.
And then we'll post the full video on all the platforms. All that will be covered.
Yeah.
Explain the show, how it works, how you can interact with us in real time, also who the show's brought to.
So Outlaw Radio, it's a show where we talk about God and things that we love about him and current events, stuff like that.
It's basically, it's a conversation.
It's a conversational Bible study. as some people would like to say.
Amongst a group of friends who love Jesus,
Yes.
have been gripped by his grace, and who stand ready to be outlaws in a world that's growing more and more hostile to the things of the Lord, right?
Yes.
I missed that part of the intro.
Zach was trying to get me to say that, but I don't know that off the top of my head like he does. It is brought to you by Get Fed Today, which is another podcast that we produce, which we upload 5 Bible studies every Monday morning from 5 different Bible teachers, and they are all solid Bible teachers. If you are looking to get either more into the Word, or if you're looking to study the Bible for the first time, it's a great place to start. It's a great place to just have a bunch of different Bible studies. I think we're at 800 something Bible studies.
It was
right
really
now.
cool. So tonight we were having we have a Outlaw Radio pre-show with a group of friends that come over and hang out. Basically kind of a men's group, just a group of friends. And one of our brothers, who's relatively new to our crew, him and his wife been coming to the church since last fall, made comment about how much of a blessing
Yes.
Get Fed Today has been to them. His wife mentioned how much she enjoys one of the Bible teachers, a guy by the name of Ed Taylor, who pastors a Calvary Chapel church in Aurora, Colorado. And just very cool to see how, like, what's fun is, like, not every personality presentation is your cup of tea. You'll find guys that you like, that you relate to, that hit where it needs to hit, that you just connect with. And that's what's great about Get Fed Today, is because you can, if you're brand new to it, if like you've never been to Get Fed Today and you subscribe to the podcast, you get on Monday this new release of Bible studies, and you're like, there's a couple guys I like, a couple guys I didn't. But man, one guy I really enjoyed. You can go back into the archive, because that's what's great about podcasting. You just, wherever you subscribe, you can go back and you can listen to everything that we have posted. So we have about 30 or so, I think, Bible teachers that we have in rotation. Every week it's a new collection. It's fun. We've got new guys that are on the horizon. Always looking for new Bible teachers. If you know somebody you like, drop us an email, popecreighton@gmail.com. We'll evaluate, look into them, and if we like them ourselves, we'll include them. But again, it's a wonderful ministry. If you're only getting fed once a week, sadly, most Christians are going to a church where they're not even really getting fed once a week. They're going to a church, they're getting a Bible, they're getting a couple of Chick-fil-A nuggets, a couple fries, and they think they're good for the week. But you're not. Like, even if you go to Calvary 316, you're getting like steak and potatoes. Like, that's still not enough for the week. I say this to our folks all the time. Like, you need to be in God's Word every day. It's where you get your spiritual nutrients in the same context of your physical nutrients. Jesus described himself as bread of life and living water. And if you have bread once a week and water once a week, you'll die. Like, it's a continuation. It's a process. It's something you need to incorporate. And so that's why we encourage you to check this out. Even Outlaw Radio, what we do here, if this is just your nourishment, you're going to starve to death. So find good Bible teaching. You might not have that in your community, and we get that. Find a church to plug into. There's good things that come from that. You can get good Bible teaching across the internet, good places that you can connect with. So, Pope C, appreciate you. Why are you called Pope C? Pope Creighton.
I am called Pope Creighton because there was once upon a time we found out that I was a quarter Italian, and that's hilarious because of the way I look.
You look really Italian.
So, yeah, I look very Italian, clearly.
Yeah.
Well, right now I kind of do with the shirt open.
Well, interestingly, I was talking to a friend that only listens to us, has never seen you guys online, doesn't go to our church, total outlier. It's like, I listened to, I was at my son's baseball game, I was talking to a guy, and he was like, yeah, I listen to the podcast all the time. And I have no idea what any of these people look like. And shout out to that person, you know who you are, I won't name you. But it's kind of funny. We do our best. This is a live stream show. So we are streaming outlawradio.live, which is a quick link to our YouTube channel, the Radio Outlaw at Facebook, Zach Adams on X. We are streaming this show, but it gets released as a podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast, you might have not any idea what anyone looked like. So if you say, Creighton, yeah, obviously I don't look like I'm Italian, that means that you are black.
Yes, I am, indeed.
Yeah, so just for those that might not be watching, you are mostly African-American.
I would say it's something like 60% is African descent, and then the rest is
Italian, a little Egyptian,
a little bit of British.
A little Egyptian, a little
tiny bit of Egyptian because it's Africa.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I am called Pope C because it's very, very funny.
So we'll also throw in the normal cast of characters. We got Dear Daddy, Vinny Himes, who, again, if you're listening to the podcast, is a white dude.
4'11" midget.
Yeah. Not at all, with a big beard. And he's everything you think of a diesel mechanic. Like, he is your stereotypical diesel guy. Or hunter, either way. A lot of camo, backwards hats. So how you doing, buddy?
Good. Been a good week so far.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready for things that are coming in the future? You know things Creighton doesn't know.
I do know things Creighton doesn't know, and I'm very excited.
I know.
For.
So we have
They're trying to bluff me that something crazy is happening tonight, and I just don't think it is.
Yeah. So Justin,
I mean, tornadoes are pretty crazy.
Yeah. So Spice Daddy, the next character is.
Yes, I'm a 6'3", 300-pound white guy.
You're not like three. You've lost a lot of weight recently.
I'm about 315.
So you're in the 3+s.
Yeah.
Big dude.
Yeah.
Beard.
And I don't fit the stereotype of people of my degree field or.
It's funny because my friend thought maybe you were the 5'4" black guy.
I think it's because I like hot sauce so much.
It might be. That might actually be it.
I'm convinced that it's because I come off as a very tall person when I speak.
A tall white guy.
Right, I come off as a very tall person, whereas Justin comes off as a very short person.
A short black guy.
Just in the way that we speak. Yeah, exactly.
Again, hey, if you're only a podcaster, we'd love to get your analysis of what people look like. So again, popecreighton@gmail.com. Send us an email. Let us know what you think these people look like just from their voices, because I think that's pretty funny. But Creighton doesn't think that anything's on like anything special's on the horizon. But last year we told him the same thing. Mm-hmm. Explain how that worked. And what he just doesn't know is on his horizon.
So one of the best episodes we've ever had was a surprise episode with Creighton.
It was
surprise
a good
guest.
episode.
He had no
Surprise
idea it was
guest.
coming.
Yeah, we kept it from him. Dropped hints. He kept trying to figure out who it was.
He denied its existence.
Yeah, and we pulled that off very successfully, and we're working towards another one of those kind of things.
Which was his mom showing up, and we did an interview with his mom, which is a wonderful story. Go into the archive, you can find it.
It's a great episode. My mom is fantastic.
Rico Vaughn, it was wonderful. Her testimony's powerful, good stuff. So Creighton doesn't think there's anything on the horizon. Oh, does he not know it could happen today? Or not?
It's not happening today, guys. It's not happening.
You don't
today.
think it's happening ever?
For the record, I don't think it's happening ever, but it's definitely not happening today.
Oh, that's wonderful. Anything you want to say to that? Not today, Satan.
You didn't think we were going to lose power at 8:00 p.m. tonight either.
That's true. I've been wrong about all kinds of things, but I just don't think it's happening today. So
You were also wrong about being Italian.
I never said I wasn't Italian. I never knew what I was. That was the fun.
Yeah, just to get back on the personality, I'm not who you would think I would be, and part of that's because I love sci-fi books so much. I love sci-fi.
Yes.
I love Christian books, and a good friend of mine has written a set of sci-fi books, and I don't know if I should keep talking.
No, keep talking. I'm trying to talk to Creighton, and he just doesn't read lips well.
No,
I don't.
I'm sorry.
Text me.
I'm trying to say, hey, camera 5, switch the graphic because we're gonna do pepper poppers next.
Oh, snap.
Okay.
I didn't know that
My
either.
goodness, that was
Yeah.
not clear.
Yeah, Vinny, you can hand me the
Clear
other
to
thing
me
while he's
either.
talking. What's in front of you? Hand that over to me because we'll
Yeah,
get to
I'm
that.
not.
No, we're
using-
gonna do that. So continue. You were saying.
Oh yeah, good friend Lee Steven wrote a book series.
Oh, we can switch over to me.
We can. Right there. Probably one of the coolest things. We don't get paid here. This is all fun for us. But one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me on this podcast was getting that email and then me emailing him and him sending some books and then
And a whole friendship blossom.
yeah. And not just that, but somebody I wouldn't think would like to read the books has read all of them. Mm-hmm. And we can have conversations and talk about stuff. And the other people at the table that haven't read, don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, where are you guys at? Have you guys read any more?
I have not read any more than the last time we talked about
good grief.
4 more chapters. I went from chapter 13 this time last week to chapter 17.
So is you starting to get a little bit of Scott Remington? Starting to get the little vibe?
Yeah, we're in Russia now, and things are popping off, so it's, yeah.
All right.
So you've been through the, I want to call it a snipe hunt, but that's not what it's called.
Yeah. The
Necrolid hunt.
Necrolid hunt. Yeah.
You'll have to be
That was
closer
my
to the
favorite
mic.
scene in the. That was my favorite scene.
Yeah, I got through the Necrolid hunt, and we're in Russia now. So
Okay, so what are your thoughts? You enjoying it?
I'm getting there.
Okay, yeah.
He was annoyed by some of the vocabulary choices.
Vec.
No.
No, magazines and rifles are not clips, and it's tweaking me out.
Yeah, I hear it every day, so it's kind of just it annoys me, but it doesn't.
I read right over that. I didn't even register it.
Yeah, I didn't
I know
either.
the. I know the whole. It's not a clip. It's a magazine thing. But I didn't even register it while I was reading.
I mean, by the way, Creighton read over it as he was sending his books to Goodwill because he didn't want to read anymore.
I have all of mine on a nice bookshelf.
Yeah.
What'd you make off those?
I didn't give them away because that's crazy. Why would I give away books?
Not
I
enough
buy
to buy
books.
a
I
new
don't give
sweater
away
vest.
books. I don't get that reference.
So tonight we are going to pick up where we left off last week. So we established kind of this premise, and this show kind of ran wild, and we're not going to go super late. So there's an ebb and flow to how we do things. But I introduced a television show, and the show is called Corporate Retreat. Jury Duty presents Corporate Retreat. So this is the second series of this concept. The concept is that, so if you've ever watched Truman Show is Jim Carrey growing up in a completely fake world. And it's the process of him figuring that out, that he's been on television 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The challenge with the Truman Show is that it's just fictional. Like, Jim Carrey's still an actor. He still knows intrinsically that he's acting. Like, Jury Duty, the first season, was completely like it's Truman Show, but imagine Truman has literally no idea. This guy ends up on a jury pool. He has no idea that he's the only person that is real. Everything in his world is fake. They've come out with a second season called Corporate Retreat. Awesome, super funny, is great. I brought that up, and you'd have to refer back to last week's episode to get the full story on this. It introduces some deep concepts. And the deep concepts that I find fascinating is really a debate, an ebb flow, a controversy, disagreement within, let's say, Protestant Christianity about this, like, how in the world, biblically speaking, and then practically speaking, does the idea of like God's full sovereignty, that God is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. He knows everything. Like, nothing catches God off guard. He knows everything. He's totally sovereign. And we're told that he's predestined everything from the foundations of the world. Like, God is predestined it all. Like, that's the truth. How does that reconcile with like the other reality with Christianity that man has free will? Like, whosoever wills. That we have the ability to make choices. That's a fundamental idea, even going back to the Genesis story. And then our acceptance, the rejection of Jesus, and how does all that, like, how does God's sovereignty and man's free will, how do these things work together? And the show Corporate Retreat is a really interesting illustration of this, because the main character, Anthony, who is completely innocent, like, he has no idea that he is in the midst of a TV show. Like, unlike the Truman Show, he's not an actor. Like, he's literally Truman, oblivious. And there is a script to the show that everyone involved as actors, they're manipulating things, they're working a script, they're moving him along a storyline so that by the end, he is forced into a position where he has to make a big decision. At no point during the show is he, is his free will revoked. Like, that's kind of the brilliance of the show. That's really like the fun aspect of it, because at any point he could be like, man, this is crazy, I'm out. He could leave. Or he could call people on the carpet. Like, he could say, this is ridiculous, none of this is true, what are you doing? This is like, I must be caught into something. Like, he's totally free. And every decision he makes, every suggestion he presents, like, he is a total free will moral agent. But there is also a script, and it moves him along a storyline to get him to make a decision. And he makes the decision that they're hoping he makes. And it's a wonderful illustration of this weird thing scripturally, like God's sovereignty, man's free will. How do these things work in concert? So that was the premise of last week's episode. We weren't able to really unpack much of the theology. I want to get into the history of the controversy, lay out the arguments, and then kind of unpack it a little bit, which we'll get to in tonight's episode. There's a few things I do want to address. We got a Pepper Poppers. I have an X, Y, and Z. I'll probably reserve that to the end of the episode. But we've been in a series the last couple weeks of Pepper Poppers. Pepper Poppers, if you don't know, are a top 10 list by Spice Daddy. Each episode covers 3 of the top 10 leading to the grand finale. Each are marked by a hot sauce that Spice Daddy introduces. It's all part of the thing. This particular series of Pepper Poppers has been his top 10 favorite books of the Bible. So without me saying anything else, let me hand it over. Let's roll into some Pepper Poppers. Here's the graphic. If you're on the podcast, you can't see the graphic, but it is some peppers and some poppers, and we're going to roll into Spice Daddy.
What's up, my little Pepper Poppers? Welcome back to another episode of my Top 10s. This series has been a top 10 favorite books of the Bible. Let me recap some stuff. My number 10 was Zechariah. My number 9 was Jonah. 8 Ezekiel, 7 Proverbs, 6 Judges, 5 Revelation, 4 Daniel, 3 Job, and 2 Ecclesiastes. So,
I mean, just an incredible amount of Old Testament.
Yeah, that's my jam, is really old stuff.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Like, the Gospels are 2,000 years old. That would fit into the category of, like,
really old, but not really, really old.
I mean, the Gospels are older than Revelation, so let's be real.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would have to say, if I'm the audience, I'm thinking, no doubt, for sure, without question, we're getting some New Testament. Number 1.
You would think so.
The biggest one. This is happening.
You would think so.
So what's the hot sauce?
Got a hot sauce. Haven't had it yet. I originally planned for a hot sauce, but I forgot it today. Luckily, Zach has some stashed away.
I did. In Portland, Oregon, I bought some duty-free hot sauce for you.
I chose one, and then he brought out another one, and I just refused to.
Oh, we're going to get to that. Yeah. That'll happen.
But this one is a hab sauce, small batch habanero. It's a smoked habanero cherry wood. The main reason why I chose this one, habanero's probably my favorite pepper.
You chose this because it's what you had at your disposal.
No, you had a few choices.
But you went into the pantry.
Yeah, I did.
All right.
And I like smoked stuff, and I like cherry wood. So these things...
What about habanero? Do you like habanero?
It's my favorite pepper.
Oh, so it's a trifecta.
Yeah. And for my top 10...
So this could be solid.
Yeah. My top number 1 book of the Bible, before we get started, do it in Pepper Popper fashion.
All right, there you go.
Wow.
It's really good.
That on eggs. Oh my gosh.
That is really good.
So for those of you that don't know, Creighton and Vinny did a taste test ahead of time.
37 taste tests.
And we're like, this is great. This is Justin's...
My number 1 favorite.
What do you think of the hot sauce first?
It's great. This matches.
Let me see it.
This matches matches the book level.
It does.
It might not be the spiciest, but it's the most flavorful and has the most flavor profile there.
The Book of John.
Yeah, no.
We're going with Acts. Philippians.
My number 1 favorite
Colossians.
book of the Bible. We're going to start out with a foundational book.
I see.
Going all the way back to the beginning. Genesis.
The beginning.
I love Genesis because it sets the tone for all of humanity, all of our history. All my studies in archaeology, I love the pre-flood stuff, being able to find stuff like that or searching for it, the studying of where we got our different people groups and things like that. And all that was found in Genesis. So I just love how it flows. You get all the cool stories. And then I can go out in the physical world and find evidences to support those.
So I taught a series through the book of Genesis, and I titled it The Genesis of Grace. The premise is, what is the most grace-centric book of the Bible? And I had a lot of different people with a lot of different theories. No one rolled with Genesis. And my answer was, well, Genesis is the book of the Bible that exists before the law. And in fact, every biblical argument you find in the New Testament related to establishing the theology of grace, Paul, always goes back to the book of Genesis. If we talk about the dynamic of the flesh and the spirit, where does Paul go? He goes to Genesis. He goes to Isaac and Ishmael. If we go back to the idea of atonement, substitutional atonement, we go back to Isaac and Abraham. We talk about the priesthood. Hebrews goes where? Doesn't go to Levi or Aaron. It goes to Melchizedek. If we talk about marriage, where does marriage go back to? The law? Nope. It goes back to Genesis. Jesus said Adam and Eve. Like, he established the premise there. Like, every concept of grace goes beyond the law, and it goes back to Genesis. Genesis is the Genesis of grace. It's the origins. By faith Abraham, by faith Isaac, by faith Jacob. It's a book of faith.
And it's a pretty good study.
And it's my favorite book.
Yes. So Justin did not want to incorporate a different hot sauce, so I'm going to throw this up. This is Barnacle Foods habanero hot sauce. Now, I bought this also in Portland at the duty free. Come to find out, it's in several commercials. It's in several liberal commercials because it is made with Alaskan kelp. And Justin's like, I will have nothing to do with seaweed.
It's an abomination of hot sauce.
Now here's
I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know if that's
here's the deal.
true.
Creighton had it, and Vinny did ahead of time. And your feelings on it, fellas?
Also very good.
It's delicious.
Yeah, but I don't trust Creighton's hot sauce selections.
The thing I appreciate...
Vinny I might, but Vinny likes
We like
fishy
all of
stuff
the same
more
hot
than...
sauces, Justin, which is all of them.
Okay.
The thing I appreciate about a hot sauce is how
That's
well it's
mango.
pureed. I'm a texture person, and a really chunky seed-filled hot sauce makes me want to gag. That is very nicely pureed and very thick
Okay,
depth
so
of flavor.
Spice Daddy has been very clear. I will have none of this shenanigans. But we're gonna put them on like, again, where the pepper poppers are over. But
So-
we're gonna roll this in because
Okay.
there are books of the. So here, I'm gonna throw this in. There are books of the Bible you didn't include, and I think
there's
and I think-
there's a whole 56 of them.
Yeah, okay, and I think that they need some hot sauce representation. And so we're gonna represent the other 56 books of the Bible that you have
What if
ignored.
what if I don't like those at all?
You know what? Then you can say that. We're gonna run an experiment here. I think the audience. I can't hear you, but I think the audience wants to know. You are totally. You're like, I want nothing to do with this.
I'm against seaweed. I despise it with a burning passion.
Okay, so we're gonna make you do something you don't want to do. So you're gonna take a swig.
Yeah, I will.
This is the 50.
I'll
This
do
is
it. But
for the 56 other books of the
but
Bible that need some representation.
I didn't want to.
This is for.
I didn't want to.
Maccabees.
Now,
No, this is for 2 Samuel.
to clarify,
This is for
I didn't want to try.
Philippians.
I didn't want to try
This
it.
is for Philemon.
I knew I
This
would
is
like.
for Acts.
I knew I would like this one. Wasn't sure on this one, and I didn't want to risk that for Genesis.
Dadgummit, Amos needs representation.
Put
Here
that
we
on
go.
a cracker, dude.
Here we go.
L'chaim.
All right.
It's not bad, but I can taste the seaweed.
No,
It's
you're
not
a
true.
liar.
It's not true.
No,
You
I
can't taste the seaweed.
Yes, I
No,
can.
you're a liar.
Nope, I can taste it.
But
I
not,
don't believe you.
I can taste it.
But
I
not
think that might
bad.
be a psychosomatic taste you're getting over there, bud.
But not bad meaning what?
It's tolerable.
Oh my goodness.
It's tolerable.
You're ridiculous.
Not my favorite. It disguised it with my favorite pepper, but I can taste the seaweed.
The mango puree is quite nice.
Speaking of kelp, by the way, if anyone knows where I can get like Alaskan bull kelp, I would love to try that. Because I think
There's a whole hot sauce made of it.
Yeah, but that doesn't taste like bull kelp.
Yes, well, I assume it does because I can taste it.
You can get it at H Mart.
Can you?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try that. I want to try bull kelp really bad. It looks so interesting.
I will grill some up for you.
Sweet.
All right,
Let's do
so
it.
I will not be there.
so thank you for your pepper poppers. Before we get to our topic tonight, which will happen, something happened today. I got to be very careful how I frame this. Man, we make the comment in our introduction that we stand ready to be outlaws in a world that's growing more and more hostile to the things of the Lord. And I had a very good friend basically kind of went into a measure of lockdown today because through his website, he got a credible death threat that said, you should go ahead and kill yourself because I'm going to kill you and your congregation. And it got relayed to the local police department that launched an investigation working through this particular threat. This pastor friend, obviously, admittedly, his wife freaked out about it, kind of went into lockdown. I bring this up to say to you, the audience, this stuff happens. Like if you are, again, and I decided tonight for this, to wear this shirt, Truth Preach It. It's a Radiance Foundation shirt. We preach the truth, and the truth ticks off the lie. Elijah. So right now at Calvary 316, we're working our way through the life of Elijah. And Ahab had married this prophetess of Baal, Jezebel, embraced the worship of a demon, and actively went about slaughtering the priests of God in the northern kingdom of Israel. And Elijah runs for his life, like his life is threatened. Like it's again, the lie can't tolerate the truth. And when you're preaching the truth in a culture that is rapidly, increasingly embracing the lie, is becoming more and more intolerant of truth. This is the new norm. I have personally received death threats. I've gotten one specifically, a phone call that warranted the police to sit outside my home for a night. It happens. Blessed, Jesus says, are the persecuted, for they shall receive the kingdom of God. To be happy, but preaching the truth, standing for the truth. You can see that happen in like pastors' lives, but even for you, practically speaking, if you stand for the truth, expect resistance, persecution, hostility. It comes with the territory. Never forget, like, you follow Jesus, and the world, because Jesus was the way, the truth, and the life, nailed him to a cross. Like, that comes with the territory. Which is why we're to make a decision to carry the cross, to stand for truth, knowing that that's not going to garner favor. Again, today happened to be one of those days where, again, it was brought home the reality of the hostility that we face in our country. I saw a video on X today of a pastor in a country in northern Africa that was, and the video was brutal, but he was beheaded because he would not refuse Jesus and not recant Jesus and not deny Jesus. And he lost his earthly life, but he was translated into glory. Like in America, we still live in a country that for a measure is tolerant, but still there's an intolerance that exists and it's growing. And you have to count the cost. I think that's a good thing because following Jesus should matter. It should mean something. Jesus laid down his life for us, and we should lay down our lives for him, even if that is literal. And we've never really lived in an environment that was practically literal, but that is a growing reality. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that this stuff is happening. It's real in America. And in the state of Georgia, it is a reality. And in the Deep South, it's a truth. And we might be in the Bible Belt, but that doesn't mean that those who stand for the truth are immune from literal persecution or threats of violence. And that's a thing. So, pivoting to our topic, because we have 20, 30 minutes, I want to get to it. This debate, this Calvin free will, God's sovereignty quagmire. I mentioned in the last episode that there is not an easy answer to any of this. And if you're expecting an easy answer, I'm not going to tonight I'm not going to reconcile roughly, at least let's say 600-700 years of controversy. I'm not going to bring that to a head, bring that to a close. But I want to explain this controversy, explain how it was brought to the forefront, how it became a part of mainstream Christianity, and then try to deal with it as honestly as we can. Before I do, is there any comments? You guys are kind of you get my attention through your own dialogue to my right. What do we got?
Jana says that she agrees with Justin that Genesis is a great book.
She
says she agrees on Genesis.
Absolutely.
Which is absolutely true. I don't know why Zach was all up in arms about him picking all Old Testament books.
I wasn't. I was just giving him grief because he did pick all Old Testament. He had 10. Revelation was the only one he threw in.
Yeah.
That's because it's my top 10, not yours. Maybe you need to do one.
Maybe I should. You have a good top 10 list, I'm not going to lie. It's still.
Well, I mean, you can pick, if you're not picking Maccabees or Alma, you're going to pick pretty good books.
I mean, number 10 might be the book of Enoch. We might go solid.
As long as you stay within the 66, you got 66 pretty good ones to choose from.
I want to know, maybe this is for your Twitter files.
Twitter doesn't exist as X-Files.
That's already a thing, though, so I couldn't just say that. You need to do a top 10 your favorites on.
I might. Okay, I'll do that over the next couple weeks. Any other comments? I just want to make sure we give some room here before I pivot to a bit of a monologue.
Other than Jamie should try the hot sauce and get his opinion.
We'll do that. That's forthcoming.
That'll be part of the next pre-show.
Okay, so we call it Calvinism versus Arminianism. So Calvinism is the God sovereignty predestination angle. Arminianism is more the free will angle. That's how this gets labeled. Now, admittedly, I hate this conversation. We've never really dealt with this on the Outlaw Radio Show because it gives me PTSD to Bible college nights where there's nonsensical arguments because it's a thing. But this is how it gets framed. I hate titles. I'm a Bible guy. I want to just follow what the Bible has to say. The Bible preaches both. I'll do it. We'll get to that. But the Arminianism Calvinism debate arose in the early 17th century in the Netherlands. Now that should send a red flag. This is Europe. Let's be real. The Dutch. We're following the Dutch. Oh my goodness gracious. But this started in the Netherlands. And it arose as a direct response to the teachings of a Dutch, now this is crazy, a Dutch Reformed theologian by the name of Jacobus Arminianus.
He was Reformed?
He was a Dutch Reformist. This is the years, he was born 1560, he died 1609. Now, Jacobus Arminianus, there was a series of teachings that he had, but this led to a formal protest by his followers after his death. Now, that's what's crazy is Jacobus Arminius never actually instigated this debate. He just was...
Jacobus Arminius was not an Arminianist?
He was teaching things that his followers were buying into, and then when he died, they were like, this is a thing. It can't be swept under the rug. It needs to be addressed. Now, while the issues, and when I say issues, the issues are God's sovereignty, predestination, human free will, the nature of grace, they do have much older roots in Christian history. You can go back to Augustine. There were debates, early Christianity about these things. So they have earlier roots in Christian history, but specifically the Calvinist Arminian framework, and then what resulted, which more popularly is known as the 5-point of Calvinism. It was forged within what's known as a Dutch controversy. Now let's start with the historical background and kind of the immediate triggers to this. So we're going to get into some church history. If this bores you, sorry, but it is necessary framework, I think, to the larger debate. So you have John Calvin, who is a famous reformer. He's a contemporary of Martin Luther. This is a dicey point within this controversial period of Roman Catholicism. The emergence of what we know as Protestantism will result in the emergence of the Church of England, the divergence of schisms within Christianity. Now, John Calvin, his theology had a strong emphasis on unconditional predestination and God's absolute sovereignty in the mechanism of salvation. And that had become, because of his teaching, his theology, and his prominence, it had become the dominant view in the Dutch Reformed Church by the late 1500s. The church's confessions, the Belgic Confession, the Heidelberg Catechism, they were solidly what's called Reformed Calvinist. Now that enters this guy, Jacobus Arminius. Now, Jacobus Arminius was trained in Reformed tradition. He studied at Leiden University. He actually studied specifically under Calvin's successor, a guy by the name of Theodore Beza, B-E-Z-A. He became the pastor of a church, a Reformed church in Amsterdam, beginning in 1588. He was later a professor of theology at Leiden at 1603. He began publicly questioning the stricter aspects of Calvinistic predestination. Now, this is not in the time period of John Calvin. This is a generation removed, but he was within the movement. Again, mentored by Calvin's predecessor, Reformed pastor, theologian, etc. Now, Jacobus Arminius argued that God's election was conditional on foreseen faith, that grace was resistible, and that Christ died for all people, not just the elect. He saw these adjustments as being more consistent with Scripture and God's love and God's justice. Arminius did not set out. It was not his intention to start some new movement. He tried to stay within the parameters of the Reformed Church. But the truth is that his views, his preaching, his theology, his teaching created this growing tension among his colleagues and his students. Now, Arminius died in 1609. Now, his supporters, after his death, they gathered together, and in 1610, they presented a formal document called the 5 Articles of Remonstrance. They presented this to the Dutch government. Now, you would say, well, why would they present it to the Dutch government? Well, this is church and state. The Dutch government was the head of the Dutch Reformed Church, so the two were tethered. Their presentation, again, these 5 Articles of Remonstrance, summarized their disagreements with strict Calvinism on the exact points that would later become known as Arminian 5 points. Now, they didn't present this as 5 points. This is more of a theological rebuttal. Can we rethink these things? We think this is an extreme, that we need to moderate these positions. Again, this is all within the framework of a church, the Reformed Church, the Dutch Church. Now, this particular document, the 5 Articles of Remonstrance, turned private theological disagreements that were happening within the institutions into a public crisis. In fact, it split the Dutch Reformed Church. The controversy threatened both the church's unity and the political establishment in the young Dutch Republic, which, by the way, had just recently gained independence from Spanish Catholicism. So they were a new institution. It created a lot of turmoil. Now, to settle the matter, the Dutch government convened what was known as a National Synod, S-Y-N-O-D, pronounced Synod. They convened this at a place called Dort. That's a shortened abbreviation for a particular Dutch town I'm not going to try to pronounce. This Synod was convened 1618, 1619 to deal with these criticisms, these challenges to pure Calvinism. Now, delegations convened in the Netherlands. They came not only from the Dutch Reformed Church, but they also came from the Reformed churches of England, Germany, Switzerland. The Synod examined remonstrants, but they ended up rejecting the Arminian articles as being unbiblical. And what was produced from this synod was what's known as the Canons of Dort, which was a point-by-point refutation of the affirmed Calvinistic position. Now, the canons are historically known as, and through the acronym, TULIP. T-U-I-L-P. It's translated into English circles. The monstrants ended up being expelled from the Dutch Reformed Church. Many of them were banished. Most of them lost positions in academia. They lost their churches. Arminianism was officially condemned in the Netherlands. Now, here's the challenge. The Synod of Dort didn't end the discussion. In fact, while it might have attempted to reconcile it in the Netherlands, it exported the controversy. Arminian ideas would later influence groups known as the Methodists. John Charles Wesley were very influenced by Arminian ideas. General Baptists, later we would know as Southern Baptists, Pentecostals, Charismatic Revivalists, Assemblies of God, the Church of the Nazarene, Salvation Army, broader evangelicalism. Let me give you some popular names that embraced Arminian criticism. Charles Finney, D.L. Moody, William Booth, A.W. Tozer, Billy Sunday, the evangelist, the ex-baseball player, Billy Graham, Chuck Smith, Andrew Murray, Oswald Chambers, G. Campbell Morgan, even to an extent C.S. Lewis, among many others. Now, in contrast, Calvinism remained dominant, not just in the Dutch Reformed persuasion, but it would remain dominant in Presbyterianism. Some Baptist circles, like the Primitive Baptists, this would include famous preachers like Charles Spurgeon, more notably John Piper, John MacArthur, what's known as the Young Restless Reform Movement, which early on included Mark Driscoll, who I think has moved from that, Matt Chandler, J.D. Greer, others, those kind of associated with even the Wesleyan movement in our local area, Bethlehem Church, 12 Stone. What resulted was that there were two enduring Protestant traditions that agreed on like essential Christian doctrines, like Trinities, Scripture's authority, justification by faith, etc. But they differed strongly on how salvation works, especially the relationship between God's sovereignty and human responsibility. Now, you can say, well, Zach, you already brought up that that's the schism. I wanted to explain how that existed, the origins of it, how that diverged. Any questions from you guys or comments online before I move into like the specifics of the controversy itself? Creighton, you gave me a thumbs up. No one can see that because you weren't on camera, or no one can see that listening on the podcast. Did you know any of the origins of that?
For the record, I was giving you a thumbs up, not the camera, which is why the camera wasn't on me when I gave you a thumbs up.
But did you know the origins of that? I found that interesting.
I did not know nearly that much. I knew that it was two guys, John Calvin and I did not know that his name was Jacobus Arminianus.
By the way, both were dead.
I thought his name was Armenian, but regardless.
But by the way, both were dead. These were not controversies they both had. Right.
This is...
And people will say that John Calvin wouldn't have been a 5-point Calvinist himself.
It's one of the things that makes me, I think a lot about this when we're talking about this kind of thing, which is where Paul's like, do not say that you're of Paul or Apollos. I think it's in Romans.
It's 1 Corinthians.
1 Corinthians. But it's like, this is I feel like again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. This is a very fun conversation and a really stupid argument. And I think that it gets accentuated because people drew lines and became camps.
I agree with that.
And then it's very easy to demonize a camp because they're not real people.
I agree with you entirely. But let me make an exception to that.
Okay.
I have a really good friend, and he's a big fan of our show. We've talked in person. And he's still crafting a question related to this, because this whole topic is like a big thing for him in his faith, like trying to reconcile this. Like I agree with you. This is somewhat, people can say it's a semantic argument, or it's different camps, or it's causing disunity. But there are other free thinking, like people that are, okay, I agree with both statements, but like I still like have struggles. Like my son is dealing with a chronic illness. Did God ordain that? And I have a problem if he did. Like there is a practical element to where this becomes necessary. Now, my issue is that people try to explain the unexplainable, because there's an aspect of God that we don't know. Like in
He is God and we are not.
And the scriptures affirm that. Like in the beginning, God. That's the premise. Meaning, and then we get into the Gospels, his ways are higher than ours. We're not going to understand everything that God does and why he does it. Mm-hmm. So if you're not able to understand or accept that reality, you're going to have a hard time. But still, just shoving the argument to the side because, it's semantics, it's old, whatever. For those people, doesn't hit home. In fact, it feels hollow. Yeah. Which is why we're dealing with this, because I think that's a real criticism. And hey, I got sick from COVID, ended up in a hospital on a ventilator for 65 days, was in a coma for a month and a half, was in a hospital for 3 months, had physical therapy for a year to regain my arms, and I had to deal with why, God? And if your kid's sick and you don't know why, that kid did nothing wrong. Why, God? If you're sovereign, and I have free will, but you're sovereign, you're in control, then why are you letting bad crap happen to me? And I want an answer. That is such a fair thing. It's the essence of Job.
I was going to say, it's kind of fair, but at the same time, when Job asks God, God responds, yes. Who are you to ask? But at the same time, I absolutely not get me wrong.
It's fair.
I understand the heart that it's coming from. I understand why people ask that question.
It's fair.
Agreed.
Dear Daddy, Spice Daddy, before I move into the particulars here, any thoughts? Or if there's been comments online, if you want to use the opportunity to bring those in, before I, again, continue another 10, 15-minute dialogue, want to give some space here.
I think if you are a believer and you haven't asked that question, why God, then
true.
Then what are you doing?
Are you human?
Yeah. We.
So true.
Who am I to question God's authority on something? But at the same time, he literally became man and died for me. So he presented a way for me to be like, hey, I'm putting my trust in you and I've given my life into your hands. Why? And I think it could be just, it might not be a sick kid. It might be just something stupid in your life that's happening or hasn't happened, or you know what I mean?
When you feel like something in your life is out of control,
right?
And you're like, well, this is in God's control, but it's out of my control. How do I deal with that?
Right. And you know, the one comment that we did a few episodes back, like I think really helps understand this concept of that 1,000-year reign. Like what I'm going through now, what God's allowing to happen now is just a vapor, just a little bit of what's going to happen, and just through my life and, you know, playing sports and things, you know, you go through those little bit of hard times and stuff like that for the big picture. And I think that's important to remember, that like my short life on this earth is nothing compared to those 1,000 years. And that really helped put that why God question in perspective.
And you go to Hebrews 11, the Hall of Faith, and these are people that live lives without answers. But the faith was the thing that was the substance of things hoped for, the things not seen. Like, what was their faith based in? It was in what they couldn't see, what they couldn't understand, and it was a future that would reveal those things. That was the dynamic for those in the Old Testament. That's the dynamic for us today. Our advantage is we can see the cross, the God that suffered unjustly. You know, God's sovereign will had Jesus to the cross. Like, if you can accept that, then whatever God's sovereign will for you is child's play. I know that's hard to hear, but that's still the truth. Dear Daddy, any thoughts before I move on?
I mean, yeah, I've lived a rough life. My wife's been called twice to be told that I was dead. She's been called multiple times to be told that I was being rushed to the emergency room. And I appreciate every single one of those situations that God put me through. And it's not so much that God put me through them, I forced him to put me through them. Whether never been a lack of faith, but a lack of following where he wanted me to be and me going where I thought I wanted to be. And he used those, as other people would look at them, bad situations to pull me back to where he needed me and wanted me to be when I strayed and went where I thought I should be. So I don't regret any of the bad near-death experiences that the world perceives as bad situations. You know, even losing 2 young children that were very important to me in my life when I was in the youth ministry, and just, you know, couldn't understand how God or why God would let something like that happen to young children. But seeing the transformation of that loss in their father was required.
Yeah, right.
And it's a hard pill to swallow if you're looking at it emotionally. It's an amazing thing to watch God work if you're looking at it from his angle. And the bad things we go through are very often lessons that we force.
I think the key thing you said there is trying to see things through God's angle.
Yes.
And that's getting out of our human limited perspective and realize that God's perspective is much different. And he's considering bigger things than we can see.
He's looking at the 1,000-year plan. We're looking at the 30-year plan.
Not even
Or
that.
the daily plan.
Yeah.
One modern example I think of is this guy named Nick Vujicic. He's a guy without arms or legs.
Okay, yeah,
He was born that way. Man, if you've ever watched his testimony, like he's going...
They advised his parents to abort him.
Right. But like you hear his stories, he went to some places that are very hostile towards Christianity, and he was able to go speak at schools and speak about Jesus just because he was an inspiration for that kind of thing. And like, if you, man, I can't emphasize his testimony enough, because he wanted to commit suicide at some point, and then he was just like,
but he couldn't because he had no arms or legs.
right. But like, God,
sorry, that was a bad joke. I apologize.
That was a bad taste.
I apologize. That was in poor taste.
But God has used. God has
Can
used.
you give me a
guy.
high five? He couldn't. Sorry.
Well, you couldn't a few years ago.
I know that. That was kind of also part of the joke. By the way, I had somebody on the Calvary 316 page. So there was a reel that was put out, and so we're trying to do a better job of replying to comments. And some guy posted on one of the videos something about like, I don't know if I can trust a pastor who keeps his hands in his pockets. and our friend Ryan was like, why does that matter? And I was like, I should leave this alone.
And then you didn't, did you?
But I didn't. So I dropped a comment like, well, I don't know if you know, but our pastor and again, this is me speaking in third person, but it was like, he has neurological issues from like 3 months in the hospital that makes him really, like he's got problems with his hands. And so sometimes because his hands have cramps, he has to put them in his pockets, and he like, there's nothing he can do about it. Sorry if that inconvenienced you. Just left it there. And then our buddy Ryan like deleted his post and then dropped onto my post like, yeah, so what's your problem?
I'm making you a t-shirt.
No, don't
call
do
to
that.
bear arms?
Don't do that. Shut up. You guys are morons. So, okay, I want to get into this Calvinism Arminian debate, what this means. Now, historically, how this played out is the followers presented a document saying, these are the things that we bring issue with. In response to that, a group of Calvinist followers released 5 points to rebuttal the Arminian argument. Now, there was never 5 points of Arminianism. They've kind of developed to that as a response to Calvin. So the way we're going to do this, because it's more simplistic, is instead of starting with like the Arminian argument, we're going to start with the Calvin rebuttal, and then we'll give the Arminian argument that necessitated the rebuttal, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense.
Now, I will say this up front. After doing a little deeper research, because I've abandoned the argument, and man, I might regret this. After doing this, I feel like I am way more Arminian than anywhere close to Calvin.
Really?
And so we're going to walk through this. Because Creighton, you and I have had this conversation.
Yes, we have.
And you have felt like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like you're way more on the Calvin side than the Arminian side.
So I don't know if I would put it that way. The way that I see it is I think that we are, I believe in 100% free will and 100%
Okay.
Predestination.
I'm with you, but if you actually get into the Arminian argument, and again, well, I'm going to go through this. I think it'll be interesting to get your reaction. And I'm going to do this each point.
Okay.
Like, which side do you fall on? Okay.
Let's see.
So T. So this is all an acronym, TULIP. So T. The first argument, total depravity. It's also called total inability. So the Calvinist argues, and again, I should be fair that not all Calvinists adhere purely to this. This is also kind of a broad examination. You can find people that are like, oh, I'm a 3-point Calvinist, or I'm like a 2.5, or whatever. It's like, this is broad.
It's a spectrum.
This is a spectrum. Total depravity, TULIP, T. This is the argument. Because of the fall of Adam, every human being is born spiritually dead and enslaved to sin. Okay, cool. Sin has corrupted every part of a person, mind, will, emotions, and body, so that no one can seek God, understand spiritual truth, or choose salvation on their own. The key idea? Humans, and all these will result in a key idea. Key idea. Humans are not as bad as they could be, but they are totally unable to contribute anything toward their own salvation. And they would, biblical support, which every point, by the way, I'm going to give biblical support. Mm-hmm. They will point to Ephesians 2, 1 through 3, Romans 3, 9 through 12, Genesis 6, 5. We're not going to look at all those scriptures for the sake of time. Here's the Arminian response. Again, this is a group of people that are not trying to like break from the Reformed Church, but like we should moderate some of these positions. Here's the Arminian response. They would say free will, or enabling grace, or human ability. They would argue, because of the fall, humanity is totally depraved and unable to do spiritual good or choose God on its own. However, God gives enabling grace to every person, which restores the ability to respond freely to the gospel. This grace is resistible. People can choose to accept or reject God's offer of salvation. Key idea? Salvation is a genuine choice made possible by God's grace, not forced or an irresistible act. Biblical support, John 1:9, Titus 2:11, Acts 7:51, Deuteronomy 30:19. So where would you fall?
Where would I fall?
Yeah.
So the thing
You got to be quick.
The thing about Tulip, the thing that I think is the most
Don't go
important-
broad. This is just one.
The
This is
thing that I find the most important about this point is the total depravity of people, which they agree on. Now, whether or not grace is resistible,
but they don't. That'll be another topic.
According to what you just said, they both say that humans are depraved.
No, because the depravity of humanity, according to the Calvinists, means that there is no grace from God.
Right, and
there's no ability to choose.
And in the Arminian aspect,
they're totally depraved, but God gives a measure of grace
to everyone. So the question is whether or not God gives grace to everyone, or if He just gives grace to the elect.
No,
the total
not yet.
depravity
No, not yet. You're
See,
convoluting.
this is why it's a stupid argument, and
You're
it's
not
a funny
there.
conversation. But
Okay, so you're Arminian on that point. Let's move on.
read the first sentence of the Arminian rebuttal again for me.
I'll just do the key idea. The key idea of Calvinism on total depravity. Humans are not as bad as they could be, but they are totally unable to contribute anything towards their own salvation. Arminianism would state that salvation is a genuine choice made possible by God's grace.
So without God's grace, they would not have...
a forced or irresistible act.
But without God's grace, they would not have the ability to make the choice.
So which side would you choose? Arminian. Because you would say that God's grace gives them the ability. Yes, okay, we'll move on.
I
don't have time for this.
Not believe that God's grace gives us the ability?
No, not at all.
Then where does the ability come? Oh, they said that we don't have any choice at all.
This is total inability.
They don't have any choice at all. Okay, then I guess I would fall Arminian.
It's total depravity.
That's what the word inability means.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. Yes, no, thank you. So you would fall Arminian on point one.
I guess.
Yes. You in the tulip. Unconditional election. That's what that means. Mm-hmm. This is what Calvinism states. Before the foundation of the world, God sovereignly chose or elected individuals to be saved. This choice was not based on any foreseen faith, good works, or merit. It was based solely on God's gracious will. Key idea: election is unconditional. Nothing in the sinner prompts or conditions God's choice, their support. Ephesians 1, 4-6, Romans 9, 11-16. The Arminian response. Again, their response is trying to temper this. Mm-hmm. Their response is called conditional election. The statement, God elects or chooses individuals to salvation based on his foreknowledge of who will freely believe in Jesus and persevere in faith. Election is therefore conditional upon a foreseen faith and repentance of the individual, not solely based on God's unconditional decree. The key idea: God's choice is not arbitrary or unconditional. It respects the free response of the human will. Biblical support: Romans 9, 8-29, 1 Peter 1, 1-2, Ephesians 1-4. Interpret it as foreknowledge. Are you
Arminian?
Okay.
That one's easy.
Okay. Justin, you have any thoughts? You're looking at me?
No, I'm just enjoying this. I've always leaned more Arminian than
good.
Calvinist. So,
Vinny, you're checking things. You're like, I don't give a
Yeah, I got
flying heck.
sucked into a rabbit hole from your Sunday sermon. That's way cooler.
Okay, good.
Way cooler.
Okay. Which I'd like to hear from that at some point. L
is for the way.
limited atonement, also called particular redemption or divine atonement. So Calvinism states Jesus Christ's death on the cross was sufficient to pay for the sins of the entire world, but it was specifically intended and actually effective only for those God elected to save, the elect. Christ did not merely make salvation possible for everyone, He actually secured it for his people. The key idea, the atonement is limited in its design and accomplishment, not in its power, not in its offer. Biblical support, John 10:11 and 15, Ephesians 5:25, Isaiah 53:11 through 12. Now, the Arminian response was what's known as unlimited atonement or universal redemption. This stated, Jesus Christ died for the sins of all people, the entire human race, not only for the elect. His atonement is sufficient for everyone and makes salvation genuinely available to every person, though it is only effective for those who believe. The key idea, the cross is universal in its provision and intent, but particular in its application to believers. Biblical support, John 3:16, 1 John 2:2, 1 Timothy 2:6, 2 Peter 3:9, Hebrews 2:9. Calvin or Arminian?
They're the same thing. Those
They're
two
not.
things are the same thing.
No, they're not. Key idea of Calvinism is the atonement is limited in its design and accomplishment, not in its power, but in its offer.
If Jesus knew who would choose him while he was on the cross, then it is limited to the people who would choose him.
The Arminian response would be the cross is universal in its provision and intent, which would agree with you, but particular in its application to believers.
So those two things are the same thing.
They're not.
They are the same thing.
They are not. Limited atonement says Jesus only died for the elect. For those that would choose Jesus.
If he knew when it happened.
No, real quick. Jesus Jesus obviously laid aside divine attributes on the cross.
Okay, but God didn't. God knew, and he's also in charge of all of this.
Jesus laid aside divine attributes. So did Jesus die for only those that would choose him, or did Jesus die for everyone knowing that only some would choose him?
Those two things are the same.
No, they're not.
That is a distinction without a
Justin,
difference.
jump in. Explain.
That's a distinction without a difference.
Not at all.
They are not
Not at all.
not the same.
If Jesus only died
That's
for
not
those who
my
would choose him, he didn't die for everyone.
If Jesus died,
For
again,
God so loved the world that
yes,
he gave his only begotten Son.
totally.
Whether you accept
but
it or reject
knew
it.
He knew who would choose
So he
him.
only died for those who, and he said like, screw you, because you wouldn't. I didn't die for you.
No, that's not what he's saying at
No,
all.
but that's what Calvinism
And
says.
yet, while we were still sinners,
that
Christ
is
died
not
for
what
us.
Calvinism
No, that-
is. I don't
it doesn't
think that's what
say
Calvinism is saying.
Calvinism, the atonement is limited in its design and accomplishment. Not in its power, but in its offer. It's saying that Jesus' death on the cross was really only offered for the elect because those are the only people that would choose him. As opposed to being offered for everyone, whether you chose him or not.
Effectively, those are the same thing.
No, the Arminianist says Jesus died for everyone. Whether you accept him or reject him is on you. But we're not going to attribute that reality to the heart of God regarding love. Because God so loved everyone that he gave his only begotten Son. To acknowledge limited atonement would to say that God knew you would reject him, so he didn't die for you at all. That's the Calvinist perspective.
What was the point in Jesus dying if he only died for people that God already chose?
He died for everyone.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay.
You're Armenian.
I'm not giving those are the same
Okay,
things.
you're
It's the same thing.
You're one ambiguity.
So far.
You're two Armenian.
No, I'm two ambiguity, one Armenian.
No, you're two. You've already admitted you're two Armenian.
I did not.
Okay, you can rewind.
The first one was not.
No, the
you
first.
said I was Armenian.
Oh my
I said
gosh.
I was on the fence still.
No, that you rewind the tape.
Yeah.
He's a
Rewind the
2.5
tape.
point Calvinist.
He's not even that. He's a no point Calvinist, and that's what I'm going to prove tonight. Irresistible grace, also called effectual calling. This is what Calvinists say. When God decides to save one of his elect, he sends the Holy Spirit to work inwardly, regenerating the heart so that the person willingly and gladly responds in faith. God's saving grace cannot be ultimately resisted by those he has chosen. The key idea, grace is not coercive in a violent sense, but it is invincible. It overcomes all resistance and makes the sinner desire Christ. Biblical support, John 6:37 and 44, Ezekiel 36:26 and 27, Acts 16:4. That was in response to the Arminian argument of resistible grace. Here's their argument. God's saving grace is resistible. Even though the Holy Spirit works to draw people to Christ and enables faith, individuals can ultimately reject that grace and refuse salvation. Grace is enabling and persuasive, not coercive and invincible. Key idea: no one is saved against their will. The sinner can say no to God's grace initiative. Biblical support, Acts 7:51, Matthew 23:37, Hebrews 10:26, John 5:4. Calvin or Arminian?
I have to think about that one longer before I can answer.
Question to help him.
What do you have to think about?
Question to help him. Did Jesus choose Judas?
Rebuttal. Is Judas in heaven?
Point taken. Yeah.
Okay.
Point taken. Another win for Arminianism for Creighton.
Absolutely not. That's also an on the fence.
Okay, key point. So answer this. Answer this question. Is grace coercive in a violent sense and invincible? Meaning that grace overcomes all resistance of the individual and makes the sinner desire Christ regardless of free will. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Hold on. You can't just yes or no without. That's
the point. Answer the question.
I don't like the way this is going.
Answer the question.
Do I think that it is coercive in the way that you
That's
just described?
That's the question I asked.
Objection.
I know what you asked. I'm trying to process what you're asking because I don't necessarily agree with the Arminian side either. I don't necessarily agree with either of them.
That wasn't my question. I'm going to ask
I know that, but I can't say yes or no because then you'll go, if I say yes and or no, you'll go, he's Arminianist.
No, answer the question.
I do not think that it is coercive in a violent way.
So you're not Calvinist on this point. Let me get to Arminianism.
Okay.
Let me phrase this, the key idea. No one is saved against their will. The sinner can say no to God's gracious initiative. Agree or disagree?
I can't say yes or no, but because I am not 100% certain that sinners feel God's grace. I don't know. I am still not certain on that one with the total depravity like we talked about in the first one. Like,
you're now a 4-point Arminian.
Did Jesus choose? This is what I'm talking about when you say, no matter what I say, you're going to say I'm Arminian.
Oh my goodness.
Did Jesus choose Judas?
Let's move on. P.
Was Judas ever saved? Did Judas lose his salvation?
By the way,
that's not an answer we have.
We're going to get there.
I hate this argument.
This is the in tulip. The P. Preservance of the saints, also called
perseverance.
Perseverance of the saints. Also called
I hate that.
Perseverance of
Don't
the.
say perseverance.
It's perseverance.
I know.
Okay, this is a Calvinistic argument in rebuttal to Arminianism. Keep that in context. All whom God has elected, regenerated, and justified will be kept in faith until the end. True believers will persevere in holiness and will never finally fall away from salvation because God himself perseveres them. The key idea? It is not that believers, quote, hold on by their own strength, but that God holds on to them. Biblical support, John 10, 28, 29, Philippians 1, 6, Romans 8, 38 and 39, Hebrews 7, 25. This was in rebuttal to the Arminian counter to Calvin's teaching, saying we should, within this Reformed theology of the Dutch Church, we should moderate these things. Not trying to start a new movement, we're just like trying to moderate these extreme positions that you made more extreme.
Right.
The Arminian response is conditional perseverance or falling from grace. this is the argument. True believers are kept secure by God's grace as long as they continue in faith. But it is possible for a genuine Christian to fall away from salvation through persistent unbelief, apostasy, or willful sin. Perseverance is therefore conditional upon continued faith. Key idea: salvation can be lost if a believer turns away from Christ. Security is not, quote, once saved, always saved, end quote, in an unconditional sense. Biblical support: Hebrews 6, 4-6, Hebrews 10, 26-1, Galatians 5:4, Ezekiel 18-24, John 15, 1-6. So, Creighton.
On the fence. Again, I don't know if people can lose their salvation. I don't know if people who walk away from the faith were ever saved.
5-point Arminianist.
Again, here we go. Again, it doesn't matter what I say, you're going to call me Arminianist, which I am not. Again,
You've already...
I believe 100% free will, 100% predestination.
Okay.
I think those are both I think they are both true at the same time. Though I don't really like the way that any of those things are phrased in what you just read.
I love it. You
sound like a politician
I am
right now.
clearly not a 5-point Arminianist. Especially
obviously
given
you're not
one.
an any point Calvinist.
I am at least
You know what?
two.
Not at all.
In the words of Jamie,
I love-
the words of
when
Jamie,
people
Which
tell me
two-
what I believe.
Which two are you?
I'm pretty sure I believe in total depravity. Then again, I am also pretty certain that they mean the same things with total depravity and I think L.
in the words of
Total-
Jamie,
what's
in the
the
words of
word for
Jamie,
L?
in the words of Tom Cruise, you can't handle the truth.
Total depravity. So you're saying, because you said you're a 2-point Calvinist.
I don't want to
This is great.
label
This is
myself.
exactly how I wanted this to play.
I hate this.
You said you're a 2-point Calvinist. You said you believe in total depravity. So,
I
that?
true or false?
What he does
I
know is
want
that
us to be
that
very
special
clear. The
guest
only
was
thing
him.
I want us to be very clear. The only thing that I have said
You said,
with
did he
any-
just not say he's a 2-point Calvinist?
I said I'm
He
like
said
a 2-point Calvinist.
And
The
total depravity.
the only thing that I have said 100% certain is that I believe that we have full free will and we are fully predestined.
No, but you also
That's the only thing that I have said.
You
concrete.
said you're a 2-point Calvinist.
I said I'm like a 2-point Calvinist.
I thought you hated on
Again,
this.
You said-
I was not using that. I hate this conversation
2 points.
so much.
You said total depravity.
I hate
So,
this conversation so much.
so do you agree or disagree with the
it's
following
such a
statement?
stupid argument.
Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Humans are not as bad as they could be, but they are totally unable to contribute anything towards their own salvation.
Yes, I believe that.
Do you agree or disagree? Salvation is a genuine choice made possible by God's grace, not forced or an irresistible act.
I don't necessarily agree with the end of it, but I do think that any choice we make is facilitated by God's grace.
So you don't believe in total depravity, according to what you just said.
What?
Because totally unable means that there is no part of enabling that exists.
That's what the grace does.
That's an Arminian perspective.
No, it's not.
Oh my God. Did you not hear what I just said?
Again,
What's the
I
other-
will say this
what's the
for
other
the
point?
10th time. I hate this.
I know you
hate
do. This one's
argument.
great.
It's such a stupid
What's the other-
argument.
what's the other one?
I don't care.
So total depravity,
it's such a stupid argument.
you just took a crap on. What's the other one
I
that you're
hate.
like?
I hate this argument.
What's the other? Your
Can we
2-pointer.
move on? I'm done.
What's the other 2-pointer?
You should roll an outro because I'm ending the episode
Oh,
soon.
2-pointer.
I hate this argument so much.
Okay, so I'm
Move on.
I am going to.
I think Creighton's saying this episode is predestined to end.
Of course, it's predestined to end. God is in control
But you know
of all
what?
things.
But you know what? He was willing to press the button, which was his free will.
Or God predestined me to. You know what? We're never going to know until we die. I hate this argument.
This is so funny. Okay, so this is where I'm going to land, and you played right into my point.
I hate this
I
argument
did this.
so much.
I did this intentionally because I knew how you would respond.
I hate it so
because
much.
it absolutely reinforces my argument. I made a point with not only the Calvin perspective or the Arminian perspective, which, by the way, I would I'm not a 5-point Calvinist in any way, in any regard. I have been called Reformed because of my positions on grace.
I think it's your mustache.
That also might be it. I hate the label. I hate the definition. I made a point with both arguments to cite the scriptures. And here's the fun thing about it. The scriptures validate both extremes. So you're left to a position. Do I accept one extreme and then ignore the scriptures that validate the other extreme? Or do scriptural gymnastics to work my way through that? Or do I accept that both extremes are true and I have a really hard time understanding it? And Creighton absolutely proved my point tonight, because he illustrated the struggle in both. It is a struggle in both. Because you, in one aspect, you can argue one end, but then you look at the other and you argue the other, which is why I really do admire the Arminian. Like, looking at the history of this, the Arminians were not trying to start their own movement. They were looking at what was happening in the Dutch Reformed Church, and they're like, man, but there's a lot of scripture that, like, that seems extreme. Like, there's a balance here that's not represented. And so they come and they're like, hey, they write this thing. And as a result, what happened in the Dutch Reformed Church, a hardline perspective of tulip. Such a wrong reaction. Can two things that seem in contradiction be true at the same time? No. That violates logically the law of non-contradiction. But if you acknowledge that your perspective is limited to only your perspective and that there might be more information you're not privy to, or that God's ways are higher than ours, or that, how about this? That there's an aspect of the human conscience that transcends this argument. That both can be true in the sense that God wills everyone to be saved, and in doing so, he gave us a free conscience to make a decision, and he woos us, but he allows us to make a choice. Again, I think that does 1 + 1 + 1 equal 1? Not at all. To say something silly like that would be illogical. But can I say one entity times one entity times one entity ends up resulting in one entity? I don't get that, because that's weird. But is that mathematically logical? No, not at all. The point in this episode, say this is a complicated topic, like, admittedly. If you gravitate on the Calvinistic side, that's fine. Again, I think there's a lot of scripture that supports you. If you gravitate pure Arminianist, I love Charles Spurgeon, who was a 5-point Calvinist, said, I'm a Calvinist every day but Sunday, and then I'm a full-blown Arminianist. He's like, I throw a lure, not sure if I'm going to catch a fish, but if I know that there's a bunch of fish to be caught, I'll throw that lure every Sunday. Again, it does come back, and like, this was an exercise to prove a point. Creighton took the bait. Because I know that there's some people that are struggling with this issue. And that's okay. It's okay to struggle with it. This is where we land. Do you believe in a God bigger than the issue? That's the question. Can you understand everything about God? If you want to, he's not God in any definition. But if you can acknowledge, man, this is complicated. But God is, his will is bigger. His ways are higher. Let me also balance that by saying something simple. If you're wrestling with this reality of, like, I don't know if I've been chosen by God, well, make a decision to follow him today. And then guess what? You were chosen by God. And they both work together. See how that happens? So, you can hit me out. Thank you for joining us tonight with the Outlaw Radio Show. Thank you guys. Vinny, I know you didn't have a lot in the episode, but you were chewing on it.
Yeah.
That was fun. Pope C, thanks for being the guinea pig.
God predestined me to take the bait.
You bit right into it, and I knew you would. Spice Daddy, thank you for playing Creighton into it. If you're watching, thank you for watching. Check out the podcast released tomorrow. The audio, Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasting. If you're listening, hey, man, hang out with us on a Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. Programming note. We have 2 more episodes before we take a break for the summer. During the summer, we're going to be releasing fresh content back from our radio days. Some cool things we've got going on. We'll explain more the next 2 weeks. We'll have 8 weeks of some cool stuff happening. But we have 2 episodes left. Next week, trust me, you do not want to miss next Wednesday night. 8 o'clock, live, YouTube, Facebook, X. It will be an episode that Creighton has no idea is about to happen or be dropped on him, but I promise you, it's going down.
Oh, I thought that was the Calvinism thing that we were just now doing.
And don't miss it. See you guys next week. See how we did that?